for those of you who've been following my channel for a little while, you'll know I tend to take like a lot of breaks from Booktube. After my most recent break, which was about 6 months, I noticed that things were a lot different when I came back as expected. I posted a couple of videos and noticed that I was getting a fraction of both comments and views, and while I completely understood why this was, it still kind of hurt. It hurt because I felt as though all the work I had put into my channel was sort of gone. Now that said, I know a big part of this was because a lot of the people who I started off with on Booktube stopped making videos as well, so again, it's all kind of expected. So after posting these two videos and noticing that I wasn't getting many views, I wanted to sort of not only re-establish myself in the community again, but just make bookish friends again, because that is something I desperately missed. Now, thankfully and not so thankfully in a way, I knew I had some options. The first being to try and force yourself into already established friend groups, and as you can imagine, that didn't go over so well. I would leave comment after comment on video with the wrong intention of trying to, again, force myself into these friend groups and become friends with people who had already kind of settled in the community. While I did share similar reading tastes and interests with a lot of these people, they just weren't looking for the same level of connection or friendship that I was looking for, which is totally fine. And that leads me into my first point, which is no one is obligated to be anyone else's friend here on Booktube. Now I know that sounds super harsh because Booktube is such a welcoming place, but it's honestly true. Just as my fear of missing out and my need to feel connected to these people is perfectly valid, the time and energy constraints and overall preferences of these other booktubers are also just as valid. So while for me it totally sucked to feel unintentionally excluded, even when there was no nefarious intent on the other side, there's no point in trying to force that connection. It kind of brings me into my next point, which is friendship and connections here on Booktube come in different shapes and sizes. I think this makes me really uncomfortable because it's so different from how friendship should be in real life. On Booktube, you can comment on every single video, you can retweet their video links, but they may not even reply to your comments or watch your videos, which again is fine because of time and energy constraints, as I mentioned earlier. But in real life, I would compare this to a one-sided friendship where you're investing all this time and energy into someone who either doesn't want to or doesn't have the means to reciprocate. Again, to me, both sentiments are perfectly valid. So this leads me to my penultimate point, which is form genuine connections for the right reasons. Now, I do want to caveat this by saying I'm not here to judge anyone's intentions, motivations, or reasonings for making friends or connections in this community. However, as someone who has done it with both nefarious and what I perceive to be pure intent, I can definitely say that one leads to better results than the other. So earlier I mentioned I had a couple of options to get back into the community, and while the first one obviously doesn't work, trying to force yourself into friend groups, there was another way that I had definitely had experience with. So despite being on Booktube for just under 2 years, I kind of felt like a newbie again. You know, all my friends had sort of disappeared. I wasn't getting many views or comments on my videos, so I thought, well, why not try and make friends with people who are in a similar situation as I am. From there, I sort of reached a bit of a crossroads. I knew that if I searched up the Booktube newbie tag and commented on people's videos in a genuine way, I would make more friends, but I did not want to fall into the same trap that I discussed in a video a long time ago, which is essentially commenting on videos just to gain subscribers because of the idea of reciprocity. I'll leave that video in either the card symbol, I never know which side it is, or down below. That said, I knew my intentions were good this time. I genuinely just wanted to make friends. So sure enough, I started watching every single Booktube newbie tag that was put out, and there are only like 4 a day on average, so for me and my time constraints, it was relatively okay. I would engage with every single creator. I would comment whether or not I plan on watching their future videos or not. I was kind of torn about this because on one hand, I don't see the harm in welcoming someone to the community when your intent is pure. However, I also didn't want to give the impression that I'd be watching and subscribing to every single new creator that was coming out there. And for my final point, while putting yourself out there is really, really difficult, when you do it from a genuine place, it's so worth it. So yeah, since that day, I did comment on every single Booktube newbie tag that came out, and I did see my subscribers go up, but my overall motivation was to make new friends, and I did. Through all of this, I've made such wonderful friends whose videos I genuinely enjoy. I've made friends who reciprocate the level of engagement that I put out, and most importantly, I've made friends who have reminded me of why I started Booktube in the first place. I guess the biggest takeaway from this discussion is that, yeah, FOMO is alive and well, but so are time constraints and preferences and energy constraints. But when you form connections for the right reasons, it's going to work out for you. I really hope this video wasn't just common sense. If it was, please let me know down below. I will not be offended, I promise. Also, as this is supposed to be a discussion, let me know what your experience is with forming connections on Booktube, or if you have any questions about me making and then losing and then making friends again on Booktube. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you soon with a new video.